All right, looks like we are live. Welcome everybody to the Maverix Lifestyles Rogue Hangout. It's Alicia Drew here and John Paul Argentino.
Hey.
And we're out in North Bay, California. And we also have the lovely Regina Floyd coming to us all the way from Hawaii. And we're very happy to be with you all today. We have an interesting topic to share, and we have a burning question for you. Is entrepreneurship embedded in your blood? Now, you know, today, the purpose of today's hangout is to really define what entrepreneurship actually means and whether or not you think it's something that you can take on the challenge of. It's not for everybody. It's one of those things that you really do need to have a lot of courage. You really do need to have a lot of qualities and traits really embedded inside of you that if you choose to, you can bring those out and really create true success in any business model that you choose. So it's funny because it reminded me of when I was little. I always thought, when I thought of an entrepreneur when I was little, no one told me this, and I don't know why I thought this, but I always just thought it was someone that was rich, someone who had a lot of money. Like that was my definition of an entrepreneur. And I just thought, oh, cool. You know, those entrepreneur people, they're the people that have lots of money, you know, and that's all I thought. It wasn't a good thing. It wasn't a bad thing. And it wasn't until I got a lot older that I realized that there was a lot more to it than that. And I started diving into why those people were so successful and what they actually did. And I discovered that it covered such a wide range of people who pretty much just stepped out and decided to do their own thing and create their own rules and create their own results. You know, so with that being said, all of you people that are with us each week, we'd like to thank you for coming out and sharing this time with you. And, you know, if anyone's brand new, please introduce yourself below in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. You know, we'd love bringing you guys these hangouts and giving you as much value as we possibly can each week. And also, if you do have any hangout topics that you'd like us to talk about and share, please feel free to leave your ideas below the video as well. Like, we'd love to hear from everybody out there and, you know, the topics that they'd like to, you know, for us to discuss as well. Yeah, so with that being said, you know, to me, entrepreneurship, it's basically something that I know myself. It's been embedded in my blood my entire life. I've always gone out and lived my passion and lived my dreams, the things that I've really wanted to achieve. I've been a professional dancer my entire life, and I stepped out of the norm and I fought for my dream and became professional at it. I've danced since I was 3 years old. So, and my sister danced, my mom danced. It's basically been embedded in that side of the family. So when you step into something like that at such a young age, I think it becomes embedded quite quickly and it becomes quite natural. And I got to a stage in my life where I just decided I was going to live out my passion. I wasn't going to go and get a regular job and work for somebody else, even though technically when you do work in shows and things like that, you technically are working for someone else, but you're actually living your dream in the process. And I was also teaching dance as well and choreographing, and it was all about creation. I think that's a really huge part of being an entrepreneur, is that a lot of the times we forget that it really involves being creative and having ideas and actually acting out on those ideas. And I think that's also a big trait of what can really stop people from being successful as an entrepreneur, that a lot of the time we hear people talking about their ideas and they never really bring them to fruition. They're always just good ideas. You know, they're the ideologist person. And, you know, so many people have had so many great ideas. And I think to myself, if they just stepped out and actually took action and, you know, created and made that happen, they would actually be living the life that they truly wanted. So that's where I guess I want to kind of start out with talking about, you know, how creative, you know, you need to be creative to be that type of a person. You need to be able to step out and really create your own results through your own thoughts and your own thinking and becoming a leader, I think.
Yeah, I think part of this is we hear the word entrepreneur. And like Alicia said, when we were younger, we had this idea, and we don't even know, we were talking about this earlier, we don't even know how this idea got ingrained into our heads. And because we always thought that it was just, you know, some rich person that ran their own company. But that's what we thought entrepreneurship was. We thought that's what they did. And we didn't have any, we didn't know what that, we didn't have anything to base that on. It was just what we thought. And it was interesting how we both had that same perception of that. And, for me, when I think of the word entrepreneur now, I think that anybody can pretty much go out and start a business. You can, a 10-year-old kid can go out and start a lemonade stand, sell a product and service for cooling people off. But that's truly not an entrepreneur. That's actually just a person who started a business. I think an entrepreneur starts with disruptive innovation. And what I mean by that is something new that's going to come into a marketplace, change the whole dynamic of it. It could be something existing. You can look at what Google did originally. Back in the 1990s, they were pretty much started in a garage like many other people, and they wanted to basically be a home for searching, just basically a search engine. Now they've branched out into tons of different places, innovated in many different ways. But also take Uber right now, like in at least every day now that you're seeing Uber. Uber took something normal. They took the taxi cab industry, that in the transportation industry on that has a lot of, I just want to say a lot of politics behind it. And they basically turned that model on its head. And it's something where socially we love it. The consumer loves the experience. Politically wise, there's other businesses that don't like it. But what did it do? It was disruptive innovation. It was the way that they used all the technology that was available in our age. They put it all together. They made it a simple user interface. They made it simple for people to want to work for them as drivers, but it was also a service that people want to use. Mm-hmm. Now, I spent a lot of time in San Francisco. Uber is everywhere down there. There's not a day that goes by that I don't talk to one tourist that comes in talking to me, and we see them spending tons of money on taxis, just basically getting hosed, and I mean just taken advantage of. And, they don't have any idea that for some reason we get a lot of Canadians that'll come down and they'll ask for advice on stuff. And we'll say, yeah, I say, you have your smartphone, right? And they'll say, yeah. And I say, well, we have Wi-Fi everywhere here. Pick up a Wi-Fi signal, download Uber, and get yourself a ride. You can spend $7. You can get anywhere in San Francisco you want. And they're like, really? That's it? I was like, yeah, that's it. It's that cheap, So stuff like that is innovation that people want. They need it. And that is true. To me, the true definition of entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. They basically also took what I call calculated risks. That's one trait that a lot of entrepreneurs should have, and business owners as well, is only taking calculated risks. There was a time where I went, it was back in 2009. It was September of 2009. I moved out to Las Vegas, and I was working with my younger brother. I was helping him start his company, and we were trying to come up with just a business plan. And that was the whole big thing, is we needed to have this big business plan, and we wanted to have it all together. At the end of it all, I basically had a folder, like a big binder, and I just put it together. And on the top of it, all it said was calculated risks only. And the only thing that could go in there was something where we look at all the risks, we looked at all the rewards of it, we calculated everything, and that's the only thing that went into it, was just calculated risks. And it was just an assessment of everything that we could or could not do. And for me, it was just an idea folder that I just kept putting in only stuff in there that I was committed to basically just calculating out and saying, what are the pros and cons of it? And if the cons were more than the pros, we didn't do anything with it. It was just, nope. And regardless of merit, wherever that idea came from, we didn't throw it out the window either. We were very open to everything. And I think brainstorming, sometimes you can get into a lot of, I'm searching for something right now. A lot of negativity kind of when it comes to brainstorming. People are afraid to throw out ideas openly in groups sometimes, because it's like, oh no, that's like, people have this fear of saying, well, like someone crapping on their idea. Mm-hmm. And brainstorming is pretty much the act of any ideas coming together in a free form, regardless of merit or what's behind it, and openly weighing all the aspects of it. Mm-hmm. And that's sometimes where it got lost in it. So for me, it was another characteristic was having an open mind, looking at things openly, and taking that judgmental part of it out of it. Regardless of what it is, taking that judgmental part out of it, whatever I have my own personal stake in, or whatever it is, or my personal beliefs, I take them out of it first. Or if I feel like I do have some type of personal either reason for not liking something, if I need to remove myself from it, I say, well, I can't be part of this for this reason, But I mean, it's just having that open mind with it.
Yeah. I like what you said about the risk taking, because, entrepreneurs are known to take risks.
It's not alcohol. I'm in the corner just tipping a bottle. It doesn't look right.
And that's great, but they need to be calculated risks. We don't want to go out and take ridiculous risks and not actually have any thought or any strategy or any type of method behind the madness, so to speak. I think that's a really important trait as well. And, being open-minded, like what you said, there's nothing that's right, there's nothing that's wrong. They're all just ideas. And when we simply get these ideas out, often, people's perceptions of things are very different. And when you come together to brainstorm, you can see things in different ways. As the late Wayne Dyer always said, when we change the way that we look at things, the things we look at change. And I remember the first time I heard him say that quote when I saw a video, and it was one of those quotes that literally it blew my mind, because it was so simple. It makes so much sense, and yet I never thought of it that way. And from that moment on, I started thinking and I started looking at things in different ways, and it literally altered my perception of many, many things. We get so caught up in thinking a certain way. And if we just shift that for a moment, we can sometimes create such innovative ideas from that as entrepreneurs. I think that's really important. There are so many qualities and traits, and hopefully we'll get through a lot of them today. There's so many amazing traits of entrepreneurs, but it really does stem down to creativity and being open-minded and taking action on those ideas.
Yeah, and being open-minded too is looking at some things in a way that realizing that you're in a moment and you're having an experience, regardless of whether it's a negative experience or a positive experience. It's a learning experience, no matter whichever way it is. It's still a learning experience. You can start a business, or you can try to start whatever it is you want to do. You can go out, you can get all the capital you need. I mean, there's so many different ways of this topic that we could kind of take it, but basically, there's so many things that could go wrong, and a lot of times it's just rolling with the punches. And for me, part of a good characteristics of being an entrepreneur is having thick skin. I know that I used to be very quick just to be able to fly off at the handle on something, when I was younger. And now I just look at everything, and my younger brother asked me, he's like, I don't know how you stay so calm sometimes with some of the stuff you have to deal with. He's like, I would just lose my crap, so to speak, is what he would say. And, now it's being able to just know what you're going through at the moment that you're going through, and just not being judgmental of that moment, just saying, okay, this is okay. This is what we're doing right now. This is what we're in right now. If you're in a building phase, if you're in a big marketing phase where you kind of learn everything and grinding it out a little bit to try to figure everything out, the way you're positioning everything, those things sometimes take time, and not being able to rush time. Oh, impatience. I'm a very impatient person. Even though I said I can hold everything together, I'm still impatient. One of the big characteristics is we try to rush time. Can't make it happen, but we try to. Life is too short to sit on your butt.
Yeah, and we live in a world where everything is at our fingertips, and we want everything yesterday, and we want it to happen right now. And if it doesn't happen in 5 minutes, we think that, okay, it's never going to work, and let's move on. I know Steve Jobs always said that what separates majority of successful entrepreneurs from the unsuccessful ones, he said around half of that is persistence. And I truly believe that. We want everything now, and it's those that give up and don't let it take time. We all have our own journey. We want to make it happen now. It's those that don't let that happen are the ones that don't succeed, and the ones that do, and they're persistent and consistent. Consistency is a big one for me. That's absolutely huge. We have to be consistent for the longest amount of time and persistent through that on our journey. So
I think the quote that pops up for me when you say that is, I think it's Bob Proctor that says, persist without exception. So as an entrepreneur, you are all the traits you guys have talked about. You got to think outside the box, but you got to persist without exception. So when things look like they're crashing, when things look like they're not going to work, when things are tough, when things are, hectic, when you got to grind, you persist. When it just, and then that's where the creativity and the tenacity and the hard skin comes through, because everybody else thinks you're crazy because you're still doing it, but you persist because you are so determined to get to that end goal that you have envisioned for yourself. And persist without exception. I think when I heard that was just so short, so simple, but there is no exception. So persist without exception came up.
Wow. Yeah, I've never heard that one. That's really powerful.
It is.
Yeah.
And what that triggers to me as well is thinking that I know I've personally dealt with a lot of different people down like towards San Francisco specifically. A lot of venture capitalists. We deal with a lot of startups. There's someone working on some type of startup, or they have their hand in 12 different pots. But there's different types of entrepreneurs, and this is what that made me think of, is there's some people that, especially with venture capitalists, they have their hands in so much different things, so many different times, that they're constantly building and shifting and looking at different things in different ways. But at the same time, they also know when to cut that loss. And that's a big thing to realize is if you the word I always say, or the term is, if you know that you're bleeding out, and you have to stop that or else it's going to kill you, you got to, cut that sucker off. If it's a tough call to make, but I just look at it, if it's one limb on the big body of it and that limb's going to not survive, you got to make the right judgment call. It's a harsh way to look at it. It's just the way I look at it, and that's one of those things that hit me off to it as well.
Another quote that comes up, and I probably won't say it exactly right, is that one where entrepreneurship is, the willingness to live your life, or a few years of your life like no one else will, so you can live the rest of your life like no one else can't. And I know in my own journey, there's just, sometimes you stop and go, wait, I don't want a job, but I feel like I'm working one, but it's for myself because I'm grinding and I'm doing, as you scale and build your business, you're doing so much of it, and it just can be overwhelming. And what made me think of that is, as you're talking about those capital ventures, whatever that was, how they got their hands in so many different fires. Well, initially when you're building your business, it can feel like that. And I had a conversation this week about scaling the business and delegating work. And it reminded me that I have to be willing to grind. I'd rather just sit and do a few things and do nothing the rest of the day. But at certain portions of my business, I know that I have to, most people won't, which is be at my computer at 10 o'clock at night getting something finished, or be first thing in the morning, or making a part of my day, or running around making sure I get videos, whatever my business is. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that. It's easy to go to a job, and there's nothing wrong with jobs, don't get me wrong, but you can go to a job and do kind of what you're told and get your work done and leave and then disengage. But as an entrepreneur, it's 24/7. At least that's my experience. And so
a lot of times the days run together, so it feels like it's just
right. Yeah, it's like, what day is this? It's a holiday? Yeah.
Yeah, I told some friends of mine, I said, they kind of laughed at me, and I said, I don't know what day it is 90% of the time. I said, I have to check what day it is 90% of the time. And they were kind of stunned by that. And I was like, I don't know any other way to say it, but to me, that's how it is now. To me, they're all the days are pretty much the same.
Well, let me ask you guys this question. I mean, you've been in this industry, you've been entrepreneurs for some time, and I've been in it as well for a while. And one would think that you wouldn't go through some of these maybe preliminary things you go through again as the years come on. And what brings that up for me is, in just this past week, it's come up for me in some areas where I realize I have to grind. There's going to be, and I had a conversation with my 12-year-old. I said, look, here's the plan. I want to get this is where I want to get to, and the lifestyle that I want us to have, and the things we can do. But it's going to take this for a little while. You know, mom's going to be head and computer buried. I'm not going to be, you know, running down to the beach every day. Or, you know, and I kind of had this conversation with my 12-year-old, explaining and trying to relate it to her. And I thought, wow, you know, this many years in, I wouldn't have thought I would have came across that again. But as an entrepreneur, thinking outside the box, being creative, being able to adapt, being flexible, being open to ideas, your business changes. It kind of goes with the flow, up and down, around, and I wonder if you guys have that same experience with all the years you've had in it.
Yeah, I would say yes. My analogy that I've used sometimes is, you know, I just look at it not just as entrepreneur and, you know, for business, I just look at it as life. You know, to me, life is like, let's say that you're on a boat and you know that you're going out into some really rough waters and you're going out into the ocean. And you have no compass, you've got no stars, you've got no GPS, no navigation, but you need to find your way back, and all you have is a rope. Well, what you can do is you're feeding your rope back out to land, and throughout the waters, eventually that rope's going to have a knot in it, but you still keep going, you still let the rope out, and eventually that rope's going to have knots in it, and then it's going to have these nice smooth pieces in it. Well, on the way in, you know, you go back into that rough water and you're going to have those knots and those rough patches you got to work your way through, and then things are going to smooth out for a while and you're still going to have those knots and those rough patches. You're going to continue to have it, you know, and there's never really going to be a glass ceiling that you can break through. There's never going to be, you can only get to the top this level and that's it. You know, you can keep climbing. You're going to have those waves. You're going to stumble and fall. You can't climb Mount Everest without having a few stumbles. You can't do it. And that's the way that I always looked at it, and always helped me. And I'm like, well, I'm just going through that knot right now.
So basically, for people watching this, there's some real talk for you. Nobody here is promising you that you're going to get started and life is just grand and you'll never do anything again and it's just smooth sailing. So, you know, it's cool. That's what we're here for, is some real talk. So.
Yeah, and I saw this one. I don't even know who. You know, I was just scrolling through Facebook. You know, in the 10 minutes I had free, and there was a picture of Kanye West. Now, I'm not a big Kanye fan or Kim fan. I'm not into music too much, but it just said, you know, no one's. It was just it was a picture of him when he was younger, sitting at a desk, and he had like a mixing table there. And he was a producer years ago. I mean, that's what he was doing before he came out as, you know, he was Kanye before he was Kanye. He was doing his thing. When, you know, it's what you do in the dark is the same as what you do in the light that makes you. You know, I've heard Aaron Rashkin say that a lot. He uses the Lion Tamer story, which is really powerful. But it is what you do in the dark, the same as what you do in the light when everybody's watching, that really makes you you. That is your true character that's going to come out. And if you're generally a good person and you're doing those things in the dark when no one else is watching, then great. And if not, well, you got to change some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's, you know, I think a lot of people have the huge misconception that successful people just got there quickly. Yeah. They just got there like that. You know, they already had somebody that helped them out. They already had money before they became famous. They have all these excuses as to why that person became famous or they became successful. And most of the time, majority of the time, these people didn't have it handed to them. And a lot of the time they came from rock bottom. And we don't see that. We don't remember that. We see that person as the star, the person that's true success. And, you know, they don't remember what that person went through. There's countless stories we could share about successful people and how many times they attempted to, you know, create their success and how many times they failed, but they kept moving forward. And that's why they got where they were, you know?
To me, sometimes people think that the grass is always greener on the other side, but what they don't realize is that success that they're chasing, it's not about the money, it's not about the fast cars, the big house. Those are different aspects of it, you know, but if you strip all that away, you have to start with the foremost of you being a solid person. It actually starts way before the business. It starts before anything, any product is ever sold, anything is ever created, any dollars ever exchanged hands. it really does start up here with a stronger mindset. Everything starts from up here before it comes out our mouths, before anything happens. You know, I can't move my hand without first having a nanosecond thought some way to say, I want to move my hand. You know, something has to happen from up here first. And, you know, for instance, the big thing right now, you know, is like we can just go into it. Would just be, you know, we've got a billionaire running for president. And it's kind of not, it's nothing new. It's not really new. It's happened before. But we have a very outspoken one. And, you know, there's certain, this is going to be the perfect example of, well, I wonder if if he becomes president, you know, and is successful in that venture, is once he gets in on the other side of it and sees what the actual job description entails, is that something that someone actually wants? You know, because you got to realize it's this, if that's really what you asked for and you finally get it, can you handle it? You know, when I first started in this industry, at least, my biggest fear wasn't about failing or being, you know, not good enough into it, or not being like somebody else, and was my content the same or better, like quality wise. My biggest fear was the person that I knew I had to change into along the way to progress, to really allow myself to come through. And that's what scared me more. It was actually my own success that scared me more than anything, because I knew that I had to be a person worthy of that success. And I took that to heart and was like, you know, am I a person that can actually handle, you know, $20,000 a month, you know, and the duties that come with it? Can I handle that? You know, there's a lot that goes into it. Like it's more than most people think. Like, you have to be able to think that way. You know, it's one where, at least maybe it's part of that, might be something where age comes along with it. Because I guarantee you, if I was 18 years old again, or 19, and I was just ignorance on fire, I would not think that way at all. It doesn't matter. The Pope himself could walk out and hit me with a scepter or whatever, and I still wouldn't have got the magic. Like, I wouldn't know. I would still be clueless.
Well, what comes up for me when you say that is that question. You know, he's gonna president, but we still have to answer to someone else, right? Because even as president, you're still you still have to answer to all of them. And I know for me as an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur, I wasn't interested in that. But, you know, I'd rather answer to myself, be responsible to myself, decide my journey, my path. And that's maybe one of the reasons I got into what I'm doing. And do you guys have some suggestions? Like, if somebody said, why would I want to do this? Why would I want to be an entrepreneur? Why would I even bother? Because it's not easy. It takes work. It's not instant. You have to think outside the box. You have to be consistent and creative. So what would be a good answer as to why and Bob?
My answer is always very simple, because, and this is a fear of mine, where a lot of people are motivated by fear. You know, they think power, money. Mine was, I don't want to. What scares me a lot is being, you know, on my deathbed and saying I never did that, or I didn't stand out on my own that way. That's it. To me, it's really that simple. Because if it was something that I truly have to offer somebody and it can change their life, shame on me for not actually pursuing that. Truly, shame on me. If I can impact a family, if I can do whatever it is that I can and can't do, you know, shame on me.
Yeah, it's finding your true purpose in life, I guess, is really what it boils down to. You know, why are we here? What's your individual purpose? Everybody's here for a reason, and I truly believe that every single person has greatness inside of them, and it's whether they choose to, you know, bring that out or not is ultimately what changes or doesn't change people's lives. They say entrepreneurship is not for everyone, and I don't think that it is, but I do believe that everybody can make that choice to become an entrepreneur and truly live the life that they actually want to live. Everybody, I think a lot of people forget their dreams as they grow older, and they forget what they were passionate about. So they just start sleepwalking their way through life, and they get afraid to change anything. A lot of people get told that they can't do certain things, and you're never going to be that person, and you can't do that, and you can't do this. You just need to get a real job. There's a lot of people that, you know, they go with the crowd and they believe what people tell them instead of really looking inside themselves and saying, hey, if I really want this, I can actually achieve it. And it's getting around like-minded people like us here on the Hangout that can actually make that happen for you. I think that's really, really important to surround yourself with people that actually want to succeed in life and make a difference. And it's just knowing that when you leave this world that you've made somebody's life a little bit better. You've changed a little part of the world somehow. You had a vision to create something that made some sort of change and made somebody's life better, I think.
And in, you know, at the same sense, I know that for me, I knew my space. You know, we still try to, we all go through this point in our lives where you have that question of like your own identity, and as like what for college kids, it's, you know, what are you majoring in? You know, that's the big question. Well, what are you majoring? Well, I'm double majoring in this non-useless thing here, and I'm trying to do this over here, which is just as equally useless as well. And I'm spending all this money, and 2 years from now, I'm going to change my major and do something that I can really use. It happens to almost everybody. That's just in college. Now, let alone kids. You know, kids, I love asking kids this question, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, rarely you'll see one kid that just says, I want to be happy. I'm like, yep, say hi to our cat. She just woke up.
She's meowing. She's agreeing.
She's just happy she woke up.
Yep.
She's excited by that.
Yeah, when she wakes up, she meows a couple of times.
Let me ask you guys this. People that are watching, who are like, I really like this, but I don't know how to go about it. Are you saying that maybe teaming up with us, that we can actually explore it together and get better at it, how to learn the whole means, and how to go through?
Say that one more time, Regina. Unfortunately, you just broke up really bad.
Oh, did it? Yeah. My question is for people who are watching and liking what we're talking about. This entrepreneur thing, they don't even know where to begin. So my question is, are we saying by them keeping up with us, partnering with us, coming to this hangout as a start, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We actually help them to understand the path for them, their unique path of entrepreneurship, and help them on that.
Absolutely. I would say that I knew that it took time. Well, from my experience, and this is you as well, is it takes time to build trust and loyalty. And during that time of learning to build trust and loyalty with people and followers and getting your message out there, whatever your message may be, is it takes time. And how we said, you know, we were impatient. And sometimes that can go against you when in your terms of how you define your own success. By getting the experience behind you first, as far as just getting the mental stuff right, building that foundation. That stuff is so important. Now, I used to get in arguments with Alicia about saying all that rah-rah stuff. I hate that rah-rah stuff. That crap, just, I don't like it. You know, I don't need that stuff anymore. I want to, I'm in it for something different.
And I used to always say, whether you like it or not, it's working for or against you. You get to choose. Yeah,
it was always, hey, that rah-rah stuff, you're gonna be thankful of all that rah-rah stuff whenever it's helping you out and you're understanding things a little bit more. Yeah, but I would say by getting started with, you know, ourselves or, you know, Regina or anybody else that's, however you got here, you know, we still have to make a decision, and it starts by, you know, you can feel free. There should be a button below this video. Click that button below. Everything that's behind that, you know, like we said, go into it with an open mind. Just be there for the experience. Reach back out to us and have a conversation. It starts with having a conversation. And then when I was younger, my mom and dad, they took me to the Henry Ford Museum. And I'd learned a lot. I was always into cars, and I was always into automotives, and I was always into like mechanical drawing and engineering and stuff like that. I loved it. you know, I liked that class. I was really good at that kind of stuff. And oh yeah, Alicia's writing in the chat. I love the woo woo stuff. Yeah,
the woo woo.
Yeah,
the rah rah.
Yeah, the woo woo. But I was always interested into all that stuff. And what I learned was that I never knew this ever. But you might not even know this either. But Henry Ford was actually worked in like a warehouse for Thomas Edison. And I never knew that. I had no, the time gap, I didn't realize how much time. I was thinking, I think Thomas Edison, I think the dude's from like 1400s. I just think really, really old. I don't know why I always thought that when I was a kid. I thought the guy it was like really old school. In the terms of time, I didn't know the time gap at all. I had no concept of time at all. I thought, you know, in history books, because it's considered a history book that the dude's in, that it's old news. And when I heard that he was an apprentice there, or he was a worker there, I also learned that he started 2 car companies as well. One was called Cadillac, and the other one, I don't remember what the other one was called. But it was called Cadillac. It's very similar to Cadillac, which General Motors has. There's something interesting too. But he basically started 2 that failed, and you know, it wasn't until he was able to put those production methods along together with Edison about manufacturing and mass producing everything that he could get the price point correct. He could get everything spot on to where opportunity in the market met itself, and there was a need and a demand, and what all of a sudden he had been preparing his whole life for, he was ready. And now to this day, when every other car company out there was taking handouts and bailouts, and they were still one that was still going strong because they had gone through those peaks and those valleys. You know, it's kind of like the preparedness of, we were talking before this hangout about, you know, hurricanes and generators and supplies and weird stuff. That's what we were talking about. But being ready for that, that's being prepared for an opportunity. You know, if all your neighbors are scrambling out around you and it's chaos, but you're sitting there with the generator, your refrigerator still has its food in it, not going spoiled. You know, you can still have a battery on your laptop. You can still be somehow connected to the outside world to let your family and friends know that you love them and that you're okay. That stuff's important, but because you were prepared. You know, and that's the other woo-woo stuff. Like the survivor or the preppers. Is that what we call them? Preppers? Did you have any idea you'd go to Hawaii and become a prepper?
And self-sustaining.
Yeah, and Henry Ford was told he was crazy, you know, when he wanted to invent, you know, a motorized vehicle. He got told he was crazy. You know, everyone's, you know, transportation was horses back then. Yeah, that was just normal, and they were like, "You're crazy."
Well, he didn't invent the motorized vehicle. He invented the assembly line procedure to get it to market. That was the huge. That's what his innovation was. It was different. You know, he wasn't the guy that created the internal combustion engine, but you know, he was the guy that was able to put all the pieces together in a different way.
From the beginning.
Exactly, exactly. And very much like the disruptive innovation of Steve Jobs, he was able to put, you know, 10,000 songs in your pocket. You know, if you are from our generation at all, you know what a Walkman is, and you know what cassettes are. If you're from an earlier generation, you know what vinyl and 8-tracks are. Before that, I think it was wax discs with a needle. I don't know what it was. I have no idea what it was before that.
Yep. And you just, you know, I think back to when I was a kid and, you know, we'd sit there and rewind the cassette. Regina, your face is frozen right now. It's frozen. You were like, it was funny.
Yeah, I just wanted my bandwidth a little bit. I just cassettes and rewind.
Yeah, like we had the patience back then to sit there. I remember I used to get so excited. I'd record like the top 40 on the radio. I'd get my little cassette ready and press the play and record button at the same time. And I'd record, then I'd pause when the ads came on and unpause. And, you know, we had to rewind and fast forward things to listen to them. And God, I even remember when I was really little, we didn't even have a remote on the television. We had to literally stand up and go to the television and change the channel. I mean,
I remember my grandma, my grandma and my grandpa, they had a satellite, and you had to like turn the little knob, and you go, was a satellite outside moving. I had no idea what the heck was going on. I was like, we're changing channels and something's moving outside. What the heck?
There was only about 8 channels.
Yeah. And it was cool too. I remember now that we're on this, telephones back then. My grandparents had what's called a party line. We lived in the city, like a mile into the city, and they lived, a couple miles out of the city. And you would go out there, and it's great because my grandma at the time worked for AT&T, like back then. And it was funny because during that time, she'd worked for AT&T, but you go to her house and you pick up the phone and you hear the neighbors talking because they were on a party line. They were on the shared line. So, of course, we're all, my brother and I, we'd always, anytime we go there, there was always the teenage neighbor girl that was older, like 17. And we'd listen and, like, it was hilarious stuff that we would do. But it was, that was comedy gold back then. Because then finally when they caught on, it was like, I'm going to come over there. And, we're like, what, you're going to like come over into the neighbor's house?
Oh, wow.
But it was so funny. But technology, though, it changed. Eventually they were able to get all that bandwidth, whatever. I don't know phone lines, how they work at all. I have no clue. All I know is I can pick up the phone, I can dial something. They used to have operators that plugged and routed and all that. Now it's all mechanized. But you can talk to someone in real time around the world. Mm-hmm. That's still, even with the internet, I still don't know how telephones work, and I'm probably going to watch after this some YouTube for like 4 hours on how telephones work and the history of them.
That still blows my mind. I call back home to Australia, and my mom sounds like she's standing right next to me. And it blows my mind because it's real time. And I'm like, wow. And, all what we're talking about right now, as time evolved, it was entrepreneurs that had ideas to make things better. How can we solve this problem of making this technology work, quicker and faster and better? How can we solve a problem? How can we serve people? And it was those people that changed the world. I mean, Steve Jobs, of course, is a perfect example of that, with the changes he made. And it only takes one good idea to realize that you can do that. Even now, there's so much more that's going to take place.
And what a lot of these people had to do as well is they had these good ideas, and they had to find a way to get it out to the world. They had to find a way to share it. It doesn't matter how good you are at building a computer. It doesn't matter how good you are at building a car. You'll still need to network with people around you to say, hey, I know what I'm really good at doing. Jobs had Wozniak. That was Apple back then, is that he was the brains behind it. Mm-hmm. Jobs was the guy that could actually put the dream and the idea and conceptualize it. He could put it out into people's hands and say, this is the reason why you need one integrated interface. Mm-hmm. This is why you need all this stuff. And he was able to put it all together in a packaged way and put it out there. And he was able to build that marketing machine and network with people and do all that woo-woo stuff. That was what made it very successful.
Yeah, and no successful person got there on their own. Like what you're saying. Like absolutely. There's not a single person that's successful that got there singularly on their own. They had people surrounding them that helped them.
Yeah, and 3.5 years ago, I started going out and researching, okay, I know that I need this skill set in my tool belt. I need this to be able to do what I need to do. I need to have this other skill set over here. I need to know how to do this over here. All these things, I was going out and I was trying to get the information online from different places and trying to filter through all the crap, because there's a ton of crap out there. And I got so lost and spent so much time and really learned how to do a lot of things wrong at the beginning, and people will say, well, there's no wrong way to really do stuff. Yes, there is. Go try to wash a cat in a bathtub. There's a wrong way to do it. See what happens.
Yeah, which you discovered when we first got out.
I did. I'll never do it again.
Yes.
But there is a right way to do stuff, and there's also a way to compress time. You can use other people's mistakes or other people's successes to compress time in your advantage. That is the one great thing right now, is having a one-stop place to go to have everything you can put together. Mm-hmm. And that's really what I found. I was able, and that's what we all found, was a one-stop place where you can actually go to find pretty much, in my opinion, everything that you need to really get your message out there in front of the right audience, put it together, whatever your idea truly is, we can actually help you bring that to fruition. You know, you need to get the tools of, you know, basic marketing down pat without actually spending, you know, $100,000 on a Harvard education to do that. You don't need it.
Well, and one thing is really about what we're doing, not only what you just said, but we also stay ahead of the curve. We also stay at the cusp of the changes happening, because when you think about business as we know compared to 3 to 5 years ago, you know, business online, multi-level, has changed so dramatically in 5 years. So in this network, not only do we know we also have people that are the Steve Jobs kind of thinkers that lead us into the new frontier of business and entrepreneurship. And so I think for me that's the leadership, because I may not always stay out ahead. We have thinkers of that caliber who may lead us there.
Yeah, I think that's really important that you know, within our community, that we have the opportunity to be surrounded by the people who are leading us through these innovative times, and we can stay in tune with that. And because as an entrepreneur, we're always going to have, you know, the normal people around us that are going to tell us that what we're doing may not be the right thing, or why are you doing that? There's always going to be people out there that don't believe in what we're doing. And I think it's really important that you surround yourself with the people that are like-minded and know exactly how you're feeling and thinking, and believe in you even when you don't believe in yourself. And I think that's what's so great about our community here.
Yeah, it is. And you talked earlier about just perseverance and having a tenacity behind everything. A lot of that comes with, you know, when you first get started out there and you don't really know what to believe, who to stand behind. A lot of that is believing in someone who shows strength when everybody else is weak. You know, that tenacity and that drive to continue to go forward regardless of whatever it is. That standing in the face of adversity and you know, that is really what redefines what possible is by doing those things. Those are all characteristics, you know, that, at least in my opinion, I looked for in a leader whenever I was getting started. Like, what mentor did I want to follow? Now, the mentors that I had, I didn't have anybody that I was actually on the phone with them, you know, 40 hours a week, you know, getting that hand-holding experience. And I was actually thankful I didn't have that, because some people do need that. And there's, you know, thankfully we're a duo that, you know, we have our own different styles of doing things with different people. And we can cater to different people's needs. And that's at least why I like what we do, because it brings a dynamic to it, to what we can give to people as well. You know, I guess I am a little bit more analytical. I can see things from a different angle sometimes, and same thing with you as well. And it helps. Now, I know, Regina, you've actually been in this space a little bit longer than we have. You know, I don't really have a question with this, I guess, but, you know, how was it when you first got started and you were kind of dreaming you were wanting to live your own dream? And I know that a lot of it started from circumstance, and also you had some personal reasons why you wanted to venture out as well. And you made a transition from the workforce and the force, literally, to this space.
Yeah. Just basically, like you said, wanted something different. And saw the paradigm that we all kind of lean towards, I guess. Like most people, I just went up to go to school, get out, college maybe, get a good job, stay there as long as you can, you're done, and you just kind of live life moving. And there just came a time when that just wasn't good enough. You know, waiting for the pension, retirement, hoping I still had some life left in me. Wasn't an option. You know, my mom got sick and got really wide open. No, there's got to be a better way. And I was willing to step outside of that box. I was willing to, you know, have people think I was nuts. Take risks. Because it wasn't the smartest financial decision. But I just decided that I was willing to go. Kind of like people that decide to climb the highest mountain in the world. There are risks. They may not come back, but they do it because something in them drives them towards that goal. And so that's what the whole journey is going to have for me. And it's gone all kinds of different. Where it's about the road to success. Road. It's the one that goes all over.
Yeah. What I found was, how did you ever realize throughout everything was, you know, that you were, when you stepped out on your own and you were really stepping outside that box and outside the quote unquote norm, the certainty that you had behind everything you were doing, you know, doubt was pretty much nowhere in that equation, was it? Did you ever realize at the time that it was pretty much, you know, without a doubt, you were 100% certain that this was the course you were going to create? You know, I think that that's something that's a real staple characteristics that that we've looked at and really saw as well, that's something that's always there, regardless of, you know, the peaks and the valleys, is that certainty was always there.
Lack of doubt, I would just say because there are, and I'm sure there will be many times when I went, this is the thing I should be doing, but I always have the right decision. But the determination to have a life how I see it has just kind of goes, you know what, believe. I choose to believe, and you know what I think about, I bring about. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, the whole thing you bring up about doubt, and I think
we're all going to have some.
Yeah, it's always going to sneak in every now and again, and it's what we choose to do with that feeling when it comes around.
To reframe it and point it in a better direction.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and know that there's always going to be all these challenges and struggles that we're going to face.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have a little sticky notepad up on the desktop, and it says the work only starts when you get tired.
Oh, that's been there for a long time.
Yeah, and I look at that a lot of the time. Yeah, it's all curly now. It's like getting real old. But I heard that from Sean T on an Insanity Max 30 workout one day. He said that, and I was like, wow, it's so true. You know, when most people get exhausted, they want to give up, it's getting too difficult, it's getting too hard. That's really when you have to go inside yourself and push past that and, you know, go through that grind phase and stay up late and do those things that most people won't do, as we say, to live the life that most people won't.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's knowing your why, it's knowing your vision and knowing your purpose that is going to get you through that. And within our community, we have the systems, we have the education, we have the rah-rah, we have everything that you need that can get you to where you want to be with your purpose, whatever that may be, because we're able to connect with millions of people across the globe now because of the amazing invention of the internet almost 20 years ago. You know,
yeah.
I think it comes down to decision. It comes down to basic decision. This is not what I want. I want something else. I'm deciding now to do whatever, no matter what. And just doing it. So like people deciding, you know what? I don't know what we're talking about. I don't know where I might go, but I'm going to click below because I'm willing to make a decision that something's going to be different somehow. And you make a decision today and you click that. I think it's that.
It really was. For me, it was. I had one conversation after I was hunting, you know, and I actually contacted. I contacted my friend Peter, and I had saw what he was doing online, and I said, hey, you know, you mind if I come meet you? It looks like we're actually really close in town. Do you mind if, or would you? He was close, so I was able to say, hey. If he wasn't close, I would have just, you know, said, hey, here's my phone number. Do you want to give me a quick call? You know, I'm always open to that stuff too. But what he said to me, I won't forget, was he said, look, you can make a decision all day long, but it doesn't become anything until you actually take an action with it. You know, and to me, he was like, so what action are you going to take? And he just left it open-ended like that. And I was like, damn, now I got to do something. I put myself in this situation. And so sure enough, I was like, yeah, I'm in, count me in. I went home. I got signed up right off the bat. I didn't waste any time. You know, I knuckled down, did what I was told to do. I did everything. And what was it? Like 3 days later, I had my first sale. You know, to me, it was very fast. I put everything, because I didn't try to reinvent what someone already put all this time and effort into creating, and I followed a system. But that decision didn't happen until I took that action. You know, I told myself 100 times I was going to do something different before, but I never took action on it. And that was the deciding factor. Take that action. You know, click a button below, get started, reach out to somebody, have a conversation, further the interaction with somebody. You know, get back to whoever brought you to this. You know, talk to them more about everything. Talk to them about where you're at in life. Talk to them with what you want to do in life. Like, even if you have like what you think is just one simple way of you want to help someone do whatever it is, you know, it's not a stupid idea. Your dream is not stupid. You know, your dream is whatever anybody's ever told you. It's not. It's your duty to actually chase that dream for you, for the people that you love, and for the people that, you know, care about you as well. You need to be at your best for them as well. In order to do that, you got to be happy. You got to make a decision and click a button below. You have to do everything that's on the other side of that. You have to further that. You know, there's not really much more I can say, because the entrepreneur journey doesn't start until you take action. It won't start until, you know, you can have these conversations up here all day long, but until you have that action behind it, you know, it's still going to be undecisive. You actually are undecided. You know,
always getting ready to get ready. You know,
that's why it takes me forever to tie my shoes.
We spend more time and more energy thinking about making a decision to click the link below, you know, thinking about taking action, than we do on actually taking the action and hitting the button. You know, we're always getting ready to get ready for things instead of actually doing them. And we don't want to grow old and turn around and say, oh, well, what if I actually did that? How could my life have been different? As you said, to me, that's one of the most awful feelings that I never want to have in my entire life. You know, it's just one of those things. You want to know that you did everything that you could, and this opportunity is in front of you right now, and it's in front of you for a reason if you're watching this. And whatever it is, your true passion, your true dream, whatever it is, we have something inside here that can truly help you, you know, get towards where you want to be in life. Yeah.
Yep. It really is that simple.
Yeah.
You know, I was, who were we talking about before? I was talking to, I'm turning away so I can think. I can't look at the screen and think. That's how my brain works, right? Now, we were talking, I think I was talking to somebody. Yeah, I was talking, I know who I was talking to. I was talking to one of my friends, Nate, about this. And we were talking about, like, muscle memory and how we just do things without even thinking about them. And the reason why the whole shoe thing popped into my head was because, ever watch a kid learn how to tie their shoes? You know, it's something that you just do it so fast and it's done. Boop, boop, around the thing, you don't even have to do it. Done. You've done it so many times now that it's a part of it's subconscious mind. It's ingrained in your memory. You can always do that. You know, like, I learned some stuff when I was in the Navy. I know how to do certain knots and rescue things that, you know, with one hand I can whip it around me and make a quick knot, and I can attach it to a helicopter if I need to get lifted up out of somewhere. We had to do it so many times that it's just a part of who we are. Well, now, on the other aspect of it, there are so many things that you can do now through repetition with skill sets that you will always have with you that no one can ever take away from you. And that's what you get to learn with this, you know, is that those are skill sets that you can always have on lockdown, ready to go whenever you want. It doesn't matter what business that you will use this on. Everything can pretty much apply across the board. And just being able to pull that tool out and use it whenever you need to in that situation when it's go time, you know, it's the same reason why, you know, Regina and off, how many times did you do, you know, blank draws? out of a holster, stuff like that. And now you don't think about it. It was just part of what you did. It's
that had to be that was intentional practice.
Exactly. It was just ingrained in what it was. And anytime now I see a kid learn how to tie their shoes, I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. Because all I think of that is now it's just something that's going to be a part of them no matter what. And now at the time they struggle like heck, and it's frustrating, and they want to, this is stupid. I'm going to wear Velcro. Throw it across the room, whatever it is. I want the shoes that light up with Velcro. It's cool to see that kind of process happen, but at the time they don't realize that they're going through that learning process. As adults now, it's cool because we know what process we're getting into when we're taking it. So you just have to realize that you have to go through a certain process. We can speed things up for you by clicking a button below. Learn from other people's successes and failures. Learn how to fail faster to your way to success. And that's where we can help you out with that. It truly is. Make the decision, click a button below. I know that we will be seeing you guys next Sunday. We don't have anything going on next Sunday, do we, other than this?
I didn't think so.
Okay. I got to check with her. She's my calendar. Yeah. Okay, with that being said, guys, we will see you guys next week. Thank you guys for all coming out. I'm John Paul. This is Alicia. That's Regina somewhere, probably like here or here. I don't know. Somewhere down there. Thanks, guys.